Fáilte Isteach, Catherine Foley here, and I'm going to read from my book Beyond the Breakwater, and today's chapter is chapter 22 called Sheila. I only heard my Auntie Sheila sing once, and I remember the occasion clearly. It was winter time. We had gathered together for her birthday. We'd been their neighbours in Rinn for a few years at this point, and a tradition to visit them on such occasions had already been established. We had cake and drinks, and we gave her presents. The cold outside was kept at bay by heavy curtains, and a fire burned away in the grate. All the wrapping paper from the presents were folded and put in a pile at her feet. Bubble bath, slippers, and a new hot water bottle were ranged around her, valued gifts from her 3 nieces. We performed our party pieces from a selection that included The Mountains of Mourne and Drumcallagher by Percy French, as well as more up-to-date ones by the Clancys and others. We sang Irish songs too, Buachalón Éirinn and Chumrigiving O, and my father, with his halting rendition of Dear Old Home, brought a lump to my throat. We all joined in for the chorus. Dear old home, far across the sea, day and night to thee I'm sadly yearning. And the words were so familiar to us. How I long to see the dear old home again, the cottage down the little winding glen. I can see the roses climbing, I can hear the church bell chiming, and I long to see the dear old home again. So the party was at a point when the energy was in danger of ebbing away unless somebody stepped in to provide an additional turn. In desperation, our eyes turned to Auntie Sheila. Perhaps she'd play the violin, which she did on rare occasions. At first, she was adamant that she would not. But then, after some persuasion, she seemed to relent somewhat and said she'd sing Whispering Hope, as she had come across the words in a newspaper and she'd cut it out for just such an occasion. She put her cup of tea down, patted her hair, rummaged in her handbag and pulled out a wallet. After going through all the little pockets, she found the words and she stood to perform. There was a warm glow in the sitting room in Helvig as Sheila stood. Sheila's sister Gilla sat at the opposite side of the fireplace sipping tea. The two of them loved to host any kind of a party, and we loved going, as they dressed up for the occasion, as we did, and we were given preferential treatment. Sheila stood near the lamp so that she could read the small print. She took a breath. The first tentative notes to emerge were flute-like in quality. I recall being afraid that stage fright would take hold of her. Soft as the voice of an angel, breathing a lesson unheard, she sang. The sound of her voice was like a whisper, yet it somehow came out clear and sure. We didn't make a sound as we listened. After years of smoking silk-cut cigarettes, her voice was reedy and thin. As she reached for the high notes, her hand went up to her throat. She ran out of breath once or twice, but still the notes came shrill and pipe-like, as if blown in by the wind. I can still see Auntie Sheila, pale-skinned with blue-rinsed hair styled in soft waves over her head, standing there under the lamp. After being widowed at a young age, she had retired to Helvig, and she never remarried. Wait till the darkness is over, wait till the tempest is done. The magic stole over me and wove its spell. I continue to love this hymn. As we drove home to Ballinangowl that night, the words of Whispering Hope stayed with us, and the trembling voice of Auntie Sheila singing about hope, cautioning us to wait till the tempest was over, became part of the night. The unfairness of her own fate, widowed at a young age, seemed to suit the song. The soothing quality in her voice, soft like the voice of an angel, seemed to echo through the darkness as we drove further and further away from Helvig. When the dark midnight is over, watch for the breaking of day, whispering hope, oh how gentle thy voice, making my heart in its sorrow rejoice. And because the next chapter is about Harold, my Auntie Sheila's husband, they're linked, and I thought because it's Saturday and it's the 20th day of our filming this every day at 5, I thought I'd read on. So chapter 23, Harold. Harold Kenneth Long, a native of Youghal, was married to my lovely Auntie Sheila. He was a much-loved only child who grew up in a privileged Protestant home in Longville House in County Cork. He is buried in the grounds of St. Mary's Church in Youghal. I never knew him, but over the years I've seen many photographs of him and of his parents. I often wonder what Harold was like in person. We have a photograph of him as a young man. He's sitting on a lilo, a type of inflated rubber mattress, on a beach. He looks relaxed and happy. He's slim and pleasant looking. He may even have been handsome. He's neatly dressed in a soft buttoned shirt and creased trousers. He looks kind. Do I read too much into the remnants of his life that have come into my possession? Harold's father wrote to Sheila in December 1942, introducing himself and suggesting to adopt you as our only daughter and offer you all a daughter should have in our home. Harold died before he and Sheila could have any children. He was only a young man in his 30s at the time of his death. They had been married only a few short years when he died tragically. He must have played the piano, as I have some sheet music of his dating from the 1920s. The sheets are dusty and faded, but still so redolent of the gay 20s, that time between the wars when the Charleston and the two-step were in vogue. There's Panama Twilight, words by Wilder de Lee, music by Fisher Thompson, where the orchids dear are blooming once again. In old Panama I long to dwell. I want to see your smiles of love divine, kiss your lips and hear you say you're mine beneath the starry sky. I imagine Harold as being very debonair and rather dashing, with a cravat, crisply pressed trousers and squeaking new leather shoes. He was a banker. I know he was a gardener too, because he died from tetanus poisoning after pruning roses in their garden in Blackrock. His untimely demise might easily have been written into an old Noel Coward play, such was its tragic and yet theatrically rapid onset. I wonder if he serenaded my Aunt Sheila during their courtship. Sheila played the piano and the violin. Did they ever play duets together? I wonder. It was a rare occurrence for Sheila to play in later life. It seemed to cause her distress, even to think about taking the fiddle out of its case. There's a drawing of a couple on the cover of another piece of sheet music that Harold owned. I gaze at their old-fashioned pose. The couple is gauche and fey, airy and fantastical. The song is about a girl called Mabel, entitled "Why Did I Kiss That Girl?" It's a whimsical piece with words by Lou Brown and music by Robert King and Ray Henderson. From the 1920s, it's signed by Harold and dated the 8th of August 1924. Did he play this song in Longville as the summer sun threw dappled light across the terrace when the evening was coming in slowly over the bay? According to the song, bashful Johnny Green, just turned 17, some dear friends he knew introduced him to Mabel at a dance. She was very nice, so he kissed her twice. In the morning, all his friends heard bashful Johnny say, "Oh, why did I kiss that girl? Why, oh, why, oh, why? Why did I kiss that girl? I could almost cry. I'm nervous, I'm worried and blue. And if her kiss did that, what would her hugging do?" You can see I don't really know it. And so it continued, each line funnier than the last. I've inherited some of Harold's books too, such as Dear Ducks, which is one of 13 volumes about the fictional locale of Ballygullion in the Slieve Gullion region of County Down. Lynn Doyle, a banker in Dublin, wrote it. I think he and Harold must have been friends, as they shared similar Anglo-Irish backgrounds and careers. The book is signed by Harold and dated the 24th of January 1934. His signature is neat and discreet. It's careful and precise with small and neat letters. I wish I had known him, this man who loved books and played music. I'd like to ask him if he watched over Sheila all her life while she bided her time waiting to join him. Perhaps I'm being fanciful. I turned the pages of Sheila's old photograph albums, wanting to unearth another particle of information about Harold and his life. And I turned the pages of his books in the hope of catching a glimpse of his long-ago youth. I wonder if he had a good voice. I spot a mark in the margin, or a dog-eared page, and I wait for it to reveal something new to me. These remnants of another life leave me puzzling over them for a long time, until sometimes I catch a slipstream of intuition and ride it, letting my imagination run riot. So that's all for today. Bye from RoseAnn and myself, RoseAnn behind the camera and me. Thank you.